Now we're on. Let me refresh this bad boy. Okay. Show me the stream. It's still offline. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Live. See, I'm live. Why can't I watch it? What the fuck, dude? What the fuck? What the fuck? What about now? Huh? Offline. Okay. I'm going to do it on my phone. Maybe this is how I've done it before. Maybe this just is how it works. There we go. Okay. Sharing it to Facebook. Live now, talking socialism, and occasionally being funny. You know, it is occasional, in my view. Perhaps it's less than occasional to others. I don't know. You tell me. I used to be a comedian. I used to be a stand-up comic. And this bright background looks like shit. There we go. Got our little background there. Move my shit. There we go. Nice and cozy. Yeah, I used to be stand-up comic. I stopped when the pandemic started, and I never went back. I just found that I didn't miss it that much. A lot of elements of it, like hanging out in bars late at night with people. A lot of people I like. Don't get me wrong, but a lot of us had mental illness and some such life issues. And I think we didn't do each other any favors by hanging around complaining to each other. It's very freeing. I don't know. Like I have not decided no, I'll never get on stage to do that again. But for now, it's just not what I'm doing. That's why I'm doing this now. It's why I make YouTube videos. It's because I have the time now, and this is the way I feed that creative impulse, and have more time to do some music, which keep an eye out. All right, live now, talking socialism and occasionally being funny. I was. It's a stretch to call me a professional, but a good handful of times I told jokes on a stage, got laughs, and someone handed me money at the end of it. You know what I mean? And a lot of that, pretty underground shit, not underground, but some fucking restaurant that does a show, and a local comic who they might be a pro, but they host a show there, and I would be booked on the show and get paid fucking $20 or something, and I did get to a point where I'll reveal this. Fuck it. I lived in Philly for some years, and that's where I was doing the bulk of my stand up. And there's some good comedy clubs in Philly. There's one called Helium, where I worked as an employee. and as a comic a couple times. I did a showcase there. I was like, here's 5 local comics doing 10 minutes to see their stuff. Um, I did one of those. Got I think that was like $25 or something. And then I did host a weekend. I did I was the fucking host. I was the MC. Um, and I did that with headliner whose name is Hari Kondabolu. You might be familiar with him. He's like he's doing the thing, like he's out there. I don't know if he's like super famous, but he's great. He's like a really insightful dude. I think he's really funny. I really liked him because he's a political guy. Um, and my first night, I went a little too hard on the politics. And he was like, "Dude, like you're the host. Could you could you like make the people feel welcome and you know, th- tell some other jokes, do some other like kind of just softer shit, like if you could." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, it's my first time. Thanks for the pointers." And it's it's just that's the job, is to bring bring some levity and some lightness at the beginning, and then the middle act or the feature does their thing, and the headliner does their thing. So I was like, okay, yeah, gotta know, like it's not the best phrase, but like you gotta know your place sometimes. It's like, yeah, that's your job. Do that. So that was an important lesson I learned, and he gave me the thumbs up the following nights. Yeah, it was him, Hari Kondabolu, and Liz Miele was I think that's how you say it. Miele was the feature act, and she's still active too. Both great comics, and that was the only time I did that. um, so what was happening is there was a management changeover um, that that happened, and I knew the guy who took over, but it was I don't know if I was like one of his favorite guys. Like I don't think he hates me, but he he was the previous manager was like my advocate. He was like um he was a Joe Messina fan, and I was like, what the, I'm kind of in here now, and I was still in. I was passed at the club when the new manager came in, but I was like, hey, could I get another weekend? And it was kind of like, there's not, we're booked out for a while, and just it, and I was like, okay. I mean, I if I wanted to be a comic, I should have just kind of kept going and like stay on their radar. Um, so on one hand, I just didn't really want to do that. It's just like, fuck this. I don't want to like have to earn my way back into the being in the one of the special boys. And and also there was the weekly open mic, which I was I was at a point where they would put me up pretty much every week on the open mic. So again, maybe I should have kept going, but on that same night, weekly, I was doing a podcast with some other boys, and kind of wanted to dedicate to that project. It kind of went nowhere, but that's the way it goes. All right, we got one in here. Woke CIA drone pilot, is that you? I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. We'll get to some stuff. I been feeling rough. Like, I'll just be honest. Hasn't been a good time lately. Not yeah, I'm not super happy at work. I have I've been following the news less because it's really because I recognize that it's upsetting to me, but I might need to cut back even more. Um, I just I hate everything that's happening. The fucking, like, the VP debate really did something to me. The bombing and invasion now of Lebanon by Israel really did something to me. I'm just like, obviously, you gotta say every time, like, obviously, I'm much better off than the people of Lebanon and the people of Palestine. Um, there's no comparison. But if I am too plugged in, which is a choice for me, it's a privilege. Uh, it really wrecks my mental health. And I want to be aware. I want to be in and aware. And participate in whatever way I can. But it really fucking messes with my head. So I don't know. It's just might be time for a break or just a pulling back. It's just what I'm gonna need to do. But I'm gonna keep streaming, and you know, keep working on the vids, all that shit. I gotta share to Twitter. Hey, Twitter. Twitter's bad. Like that really fucks with me. It's so, like, it's such a fucking cesspool of hate speech and just trash. Yeah, like the open Nazis and fascists, like, it's really bad. Man, that fucks with my head too. But yeah, I don't want to be too much of a downer. I'm just kind of airing it, just trying to kind of be honest about it. I struggle with depression as it is. It's rough. Okay, I'm just posting this to Twitter, so that's why I'm like not forming sentences that well. Oh, I forgot what I post. Okay, live now, talking socialism and occasionally. Is this funny? I don't know. Occasionally being funny. All right. Yeah, so I'm in. I'm locked in. Let's go. Thank you for watching. Those who are here, we appreciate you. Let's take a look at short story. It's a short article about a real piece of trash. Michael Penis, the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, Republican, psycho, Christian fascist. Who's this? Look at this smug little shit. Who the fuck is this? Oh, I hate this guy. Oh, Senate Republican. Senate Republicans losing patience with Johnson. Ooh, uh-oh. There's some fighting among the girls there. Shameful. Johnson slammed for saying Congress won't cut recess to pass disaster relief. Because of course they won't. Why would they fucking... Come on. They're on vacation. Leave them alone. Okay. Although Republican House Speaker Michael Penis plans to visit the western part of North Carolina this week in the deadly and devastating aftermath of Hurricane Helene, I love how they think that, like, visiting does something. Like, what are you going to do? You going to hand out some fucking water bottles that are already there? You fucking idiot. Take some pictures. Politico reports the GOP lawmaker has confirmed that Congress doesn't plan to provide any disaster aid before November. I love how these guys can just say this shit now without, like, getting their heads cut off. Um, if you know, you know. Um, it's nuts. It's nuts. You couldn't get away with just saying that before, like 20, 30 years ago. Just like, we're not going to do anything. It would be like a media firestorm. Like, people used to be shamed out of office for shit. Johnson's trip to the Tar Heel State. Is that what it's called? What the fuck does that mean? Johnson's trip to the Tar Heel State comes amid Congress's nearly 5-week-long recess. What are they, Australian? This fucking... When's my 5-week recess? Absolute cocksuckers. Which several Democratic and Republican lawmakers are calling to cut short due to the need to pass additional disaster relief funding, according to Axios. Yeah. I mean, I guess they can't really do it. The ones calling for it can't really do anything, right? I mean, I guess the speaker has to be the one to call them back. However, Politico's Olivia Beavers reported via X early Sunday morning that Speaker Michael Penis will not be calling the House back early to vote on disaster aid supplemental in the wake of the hurricane. Beavers added, he tells me the cost of damages has to be tabulated before a supplemental is considered, and he argued they are a ways away from that. Why don't you, like, take a guess? What if you come back and you're like, man, it's got to be at least like $1 billion, right? You're supposed to give $9 billion to FEMA before the recess, so it's a little weird that you didn't do that, knowing this was coming. That's so insane. Like there are estimates. Like there are always like pretty quick estimates when these things happen, and like, is that a perfect number? No, probably not. But like, why don't you do like something? God, these people fucking suck. One ex-user pointed out that in his letter to Congress on disaster needs, published Friday, President Joe Biden wrote, most urgently, the Small Business Administration's disaster loan program will run out of funding in a matter of weeks. What? Is that all you're concerned? The fucking Small Business Administration's disaster loan program? What about the fucking People's Loan Program? You fucking bitch. Run out of funding in a matter of weeks and well before the Congress is planning to reconvene. I warned the Congress of this potential shortfall even before Hurricane Helene landed on American shores. He went around Congress more than once to send money to Israel, by the way. I requested more funding for SBA multiple times over the past several months. Oh, suddenly we follow all the rules. Oh, no, fuck. What are we going to... And most recently, my administration underscored that request as you prepared a continuing resolution to fund the government. That's probably where the $9 billion was for FEMA that they cut out of that bill, and then added $8.7 billion for Israel. See how that works? See what happened? See how that goes? Now the need is even more urgent. Yeah, no shit, you fucking bitch. Send the National Guard. Axios notes that even right-wing lawmakers like Senator Rick Scott and Rep. Ralph Norman say they would support coming back to D.C. to pass supplemental relief for the hurricane relief assistance. Okay. I mean, that's nuts. Like, Rick Scott is a fucking psycho. Like, he doesn't, like, I don't know. I mean, I guess that, you know, at some point, these guys, like, don't want to look bad. But, you know, Mike Penis doesn't care. North Carolina Democratic congressional candidate Chuck Hubbard responded to Beaver's report saying, this is unacceptable and shameful. Republicans in Congress are failing Helene victims. Congress must act now to pass urgently needed disaster aid. Great. So nothing's going to happen. Okay. Oh, this is good. Washington Examiner. Look at this fucking crap. Okay. Now, here's the problem. Now, Mace introduces legislation to redirect FEMA funding from migrants to hurricane victims. The the number I saw, and here, let me just pull this up. Jamie, pull that up. I'm my own Jamie. How do you like that, JRE? Okay. So nope. Just go to my profile. Thank you very much. 9.3 thousand impressions on my post in the last 7 days. Is that a lot? I don't know. Might be a lot for me. Okay. I just saw something. Maybe it was on Facebook. I'm gonna pull this out for a second. Yeah, this thing about the migrant thing, it's bullshit. So if the amount I saw quoted here was true, that it's nothing, and it's obviously a false choice. So here, let's check this out. Let's check it out. All right. So don't look at my friends. Don't look at my friends. Who cares? Okay. So so the New York Post was the original tweet here. Feds say there's no money left to respond to hurricanes after FEMA used $640.9 million this year on migrants. Okay. It's an interesting thing to shove in there. This is like, I mean, that's a good chunk of money, but it's not that much for like our, for the U.S. government. Like that's not that much. It's, especially because, they were trying to pass a supplemental $9 billion for FEMA. Like this is, it's a fraction of it, but it's not that much. So this person, Fidel Cashflow, said this is fascist agitprop. It is, because they're intentionally grouping these two things together when it's a false choice, because it's about money being denied to hurricane victims when it supposedly this amount went to migrants. And the reality is, like, yeah, we can easily give that amount to migrants and spend whatever, couple billion, I don't know how much they'll need for relief. That's fucking easy for the government. It's nothing. It's nothing. It's just. So I explained here, Trump slashed the FEMA budget. Biden left it as he found it, and to his credit, like, he had wrote that letter. Like, I think he was trying to get some money for it. I don't know if that's trying as like actually trying, or appearing to try, but he ultimately left it as he found it. Congress denied FEMA $9 billion right before sending $8.7 billion to Israel. Migrants ain't the problem, right? And you could say I'm doing the same thing by being like, but they sent this to Israel. Now, first of all, it's the same amount of money. So if you want to talk about taking it from here and moving it here, that's the actual example of that. Again, the migrant thing is nothing compared to the budget they were trying to pass. And this is like, again, supplemental. I'm sure FEMA has a lot more than that usually. But yeah, if it's a matter of like use of resources and use of cash, which it's not, but if it is, this is the problem, the Israel fucking funding. Now, again, I think we'd probably be fine. Like, the country would be fine if we sent $8.7 billion to Israel and sent $9 billion to the FEMA. I don't want them to send money to Israel, or an equivalent amount, like whatever it is. It's money to use to buy weapons, or it's weapons worth this, whatever the fuck it is. I don't want them to do that. But if this whole like, well, they put it here instead of here, like yeah, this is the example, but also no, it's a non-problem. It's just a matter of what they want to spend money on. That's it. All right, so let's see what this idiot says. Rep. Nancy Mace from South Carolina has introduced legislation that will redirect funds from a FEMA program for migrants to Hurricane Helene victims and ban other federal funds for the initiative. The bill is another Republican effort in the aftermath of Hurricane Helene to redirect government funds from immigration efforts to Hurricane Helene relief. See, and it's bullshit because it's just anti-migrant sentiment. They don't give a fuck about hurricane victims. They don't fucking care. Like, Republican governors ask for the money when their states are hit, usually, but they don't actually care. Like, they don't want to pass fucking funds, especially not new ones. That's why it's this. It's redirected from the fucking migrants. You don't give it to the migrants. Like, this is legal migrants. It is documented immigrants. Forgot to take my meds. Can you tell? Oh. Got that dry mouth too. All right. So it's all bullshit. It's all a fucking show. Welcome to the theater. The legislation, among other things, would terminate FEMA's Shelter and Services Program. What is that? Let's look at that. I don't know if that's just like a migrant thing. Okay, maybe it is. So the Shelter and Services Program is a program that provides funds to non-federal entities that provide sheltering and other eligible services to non-citizen migrants who have been encountered by the Department of Homeland Security and released from custody while awaiting the outcome of their immigration proceedings. That seems fair to me. The program replaces the Emergency Food and Shelter Program humanitarian program. What? Program provides funds to state, local, tribal, and nonprofit organizations to support sheltering and other eligible activities, including facility improvements. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. Seem like great. Like, these people are like, we want legal immigration. Like, this is what that looks like. You have to let people in. You know, you have to like. They probably do like, some initial screening, like some vetting. But then, there's a court. There's like court proceedings they have to go through to approve a whether it's a work permit, a green card, a fucking a temporary status, or like what's the goddamn thing? Asylum claim, whatever it is. It has to go through a court process, and that's why, like, having more immigration judges and maybe more like public defenders who can help with these would be the way to actually handle an increased number of people coming over the border. But this is what it is. These people came through like a legal point of entry. They encountered the Department of Homeland Security and said, hi, I would like to fucking be here. I request asylum. I want to move here. I want to relocate permanently, or I want to find work temporarily, whatever the fuck it is. Then they say, okay, like, do you have ID? Where are you coming from? What's your, you know, why not work where you were? What problems made you come? Like, just they just have to vet them, and then um, while they're awaiting the outcome of their immigration proceedings, they have to live somewhere. They have to be able to just sustain themselves. So we have some money set aside for that. It's not a big deal. It's really not. This is how legal immigration happens. So now we can pretty firmly say, and especially once we see who, like, oh, here we go. 9 Republicans co-sponsored the legislation, including Reps Byron Donalds, Corey Mills, but whoever and whatever. So there, now we know, at least, we can at least confirm that this list of Republicans is lying about, giving a shit about whether it's legal or illegal immigration. And is it has to be legal? Like, okay, that's what they're doing. That's what this is. But if you think, like, America's poor because we spent 640 million, nothing, on assisting some migrants awaiting their legal immigration proceedings, then you don't want legal immigration. You just don't want immigration. And this is, not where the Democrats are on this, but the Democrats are moving toward this position. Like, Biden Biden and Harris have moved to the right with their rhetoric. The Democrats tried to pass a Republican bill, immigration bill, through Congress that was, more or less, roughly, like, effectively the same as Trump's 2020 immigration policy. And they acted like, oh, it was just a little trick. It was a little switcheroo we did on Republicans, you see. And now we've caught them in their hypocrisy. Ha! And no, they just are right wing on immigration now. I don't know if they changed their minds or they just decided, like, I think we can win this way, or just immigrants coming across the southern border, not the northern or the ports, the seaboards, are scary or not scary, like, worth throwing under the bus. It's like, well, we can eat the loss of a certain chunk of Latino votes. We'll just, fuck it. Make it up in the suburbs, right? Chuck Schumer bullshit. Jesus. Okay. Kamala Harris and Alejandro Mayorkas have turned FEMA into... I love this. It's so funny that, like, their talking points, they just had to, like, take Biden's name out and insert Kamala's because they just were planning to run against Biden, but now they just say Kamala as if she's the president, and it's like, bro, like, I don't think she made a lot of these decisions. I know she was, like, border czar or something, but, like, I don't think that really went, like, nothing much came of that. I don't know if she is even officially that anymore. But anyway, it's funny. Kamala Harris and Mayorkas have turned FEMA into a migrant resettlement agency. Again, you want legal immigration. This is how it works. It's time to end this mess. Our bill will make sure funds meant for disaster relief are utilized when they are needed most. Actual disaster relief. Then don't fucking treat immigrants coming over the southern border as a fucking disaster. And then get mad when disaster relief is used on it. It's the Federal Emergency Management Agency, right? Let's not get it fucked up. FEMA. Federal Emergency Management Agency. I was fucking right. I'm smart. So but if you're like the border emergency, why aren't we doing it like that? It's like, okay, well, here's the Federal Emergency Management Agency here to manage the fucking emergency. And they're like, no, not like that. FEMA allocated $640 million towards its shelter and services program aimed at assisting migrants, but the funds are separate from its disaster relief funds. Ah, interesting. So who was right? Who was right? Who was fucking right about this? It's just a matter of not funding disaster relief. That's the problem. So she just is. This is just a bill aimed at closing this program, ending this program, shelter and services program. It's extra money. Former President Donald Trump recently suggested the government stole FEMA money to give to illegal immigrants. It is separate money. They stole the FEMA. He literally cut the FEMA money. Trump. Donald H. fucking Trump. Cut the fucking money. They stole it FEMA, just like they stole it from a bank. So they give it to the illegal immigrants. So by illegal immigrants now, we just mean immigrants. We are against immigrants. That's the direction we're heading. The Republicans, for damn sure, are already there. The Democrats are chasing them, as usual, as they have for the past 15 fucking years. Tailing them, I should say. Like they're going the same way. They're just a little further back. FEMA has said the claim is false. No money is being diverted from disaster response needs. FEMA's disaster response efforts and individual assistance is funded through the Disaster Relief Fund, which is a dedicated fund for disaster efforts, FEMA said in a post. Disaster Relief Fund money has not been diverted to other non-disaster related efforts. And FEMA has also said, please give us money for the Disaster Relief Fund. We need money for disaster relief. Which shelter and services money is not. The Washington Examiner contacted Mace's and Boebert's offices to ask for further comment on the legislation, but did not receive a response. Great. The bill has been referred to House Education Workforce Committee, The session of Congress being held so close to the election is unlikely to be voted on before a new Congress is appointed. Great. Great. I love that it's a new Congress. That's technically what it is every 2 years, right? The House is a new Congress. And it's 80% the same. All these fucking assholes are still there. I think I just found like a dead spider or something on my desk. One sec. It was dead. I didn't kill it. I did not kill it. Trying to get away from doing that shit. Um, yeah, it's so. This is it. This is it. Let's see what Ali Velshi has to say. Project 25. I don't want to watch something about Project 2025. It's just the next step in Republican fascist march. North Korea to hold parliamentary meeting to amend constitution, remove unification provisions. Interesting. If you're not aware, North and South Korea, I think they kind of get on fairly well at this point. I think under Trump they actually like officially ended the Korean War. But if you don't know, unification was has been sort of an aspirational policy for both the North and South. So it's were they going to do it? I don't know, but that's the way it's been since it was broken up in 1953 or whatever. Oh my God. South Korean president warns North of regime end if it uses nukes. What? Who are they using? They're not going to use nukes. They'll test them so that they have them. Like, what do you... they just parade the nukes. That's hilarious. But no, it's a deterrent. The same way for every other fucking country. Like, it's only scary when like people, countries start acting stupid, like Israel. They're intentionally antagonizing Iran, which may or may not be nuclear armed, right? And it's kind of just an open secret that Israel is nuclear armed. But the thing is, what's the last nuclear armed country that the U.S. invaded? We'll invade when we at least say we suspect that they're building nukes, right? And a lot of times, they probably are a lot of the time, but they're also like just creating nuclear power, which is, like nuclear energy power. Like that's, the nuclear is controversial. I'm kind of two minds about it. I don't know, but it's it's much lower emissions and can replace at least a chunk of oil use. So like, yeah, if Iran wants to do that, they should. Like that's good. That's a good thing. But Netanyahu wants to fucking bomb their nuclear facilities, which is insane. But that's what it is. It's just North Korea has, all of Korea was invaded by the U.S., but like North Korea especially had almost every structure in the entire territory bombed by the U.S. We killed 10% of their population. We used Agent Orange and white phosphorus and napalm and shit, just like in Vietnam and Laos and Cambodia. And we really devastated the place. So, yeah, they want a fucking nuke. What are you talking about? North Korea is set to convene a key parliamentary meeting on Monday. What? Wait, what? They have a parliament in North Korea? I thought they were evil. Okay. Where it is, I mean, not that you can't be evil with a parliament, but like, yeah. Yeah, look at that. They actually have like elected officials who vote on stuff. Where it is expected to revise its constitution by removing unification-related clauses and clarifying the nation's territorial boundaries, including its maritime border. The 11th session of the 14th Supreme People's Assembly is expected to address these revisions, 9 months after North Korean leader Kim Jong-un redefined inter-Korean relations as being between two hostile states, interesting, and vowed to no longer consider South Korea a partner for reconciliation and unification. Also, just take like, again, like it's. I don't want to like overly defend North Korea, but like take this with a grain of salt because this is a South Korean publication, and South Korea bullshits about North Korea all the time. Usually, it'll come through like CIA outlets too, like Radio Free Asia and shit. Just keep that in mind. I'm not saying this is all like a lie. It's just like, okay, whatever's coming out of South Korea about North Korea, just like give it a little bit of thought, and if you really want to know what's happening, like dig in a little bit. Okay. In a previous SPM meeting in January, Kim called for constitutional changes to officially label South Korea as North Korea's invariable principal enemy and to codify plans for completely occupying the South in the event of war. I mean, okay. I mean, it seems hostile, but again, like, South Korea is sort of a Israel. It's a U.S. outpost. My God, Kim Jong Un is so funny. What a like silly little dude. I don't know. Kim's order to review the Constitution includes removing any clauses related to peaceful unification and stipulating that the country's territorial boundaries, including the maritime border. Yeah, and it's. I mean, look, is this how it works? Does he just tell the parliament what to do and they have to do it? Maybe it is, but let's think of it this way. Like in the UK, when they did the recent parliamentary election, where Labour took over, the Labour Party took over. Rishi Sunak, who was the PM at the time, had to ask permission of King Charles to hold an election. Okay? Now you might say, "Oh, well that's just ceremonial." Okay. Maybe it's ceremonial in North Korea too. And the thing is, like, the constitutional monarchy thing in places like the UK, the sort of like ceremonial, like symbolic monarchy thing is not as like ironclad as you think. The crown can reassert its power pretty much whenever it wants. This is just, again, it's like in the U.S. It's not not a monarchic thing, but like there's sort of a lot of the sort of democracy, the like balance of powers shit is just like kind of a handshake, that people have abided by for years. But then people like Trump, especially, but kind of a lot of people now. But people like Trump come in and realize, like, I don't have to follow all of this shit. Like, it's not written anywhere. I'm not going to get arrested. Like, what the fuck? So, but that's how it works with, like, a constitutional monarchy. And I think people wrongfully call North Korea a monarchy sometimes. I think uh, uh, yeah, I mean, I think that it's I don't know. I'm still learning about North Korea, but, like, I imagine his position is probably similar to that of like King Charles. you know, I don't know. Um, all right. South Korea's unification ministry has said that North Korea is likely to scrap previous inter-Korean agreements, including the 1991 Basic Agreement, which defined the relationship between the two Koreas as a special relationship, tentatively formed in the process of seeking reunification, not as state-to-state relations. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'd like to hear the reasoning for changing that. It's also speculated that the North's constitutional... I can't read. I need my glasses. It is also speculated that the North's constitutional revision may remove references to unification, shared ethnicity, and race, replacing them with a focus on the forceful absorption of the South in the event of conflict. The specific details of the I just want to add that forceful reabsorption of the South in the event of conflict is just how a civil war works. It's how the American Civil War worked. The specific details of these changes might not be immediately disclosed, as North Korea has delayed revealing constitutional amendments in the past. On the issue of maritime border, North Korea may also ambiguously outline its position without providing specific details, leaving room for future legislative actions to clarify its stance. Since adopting its socialist constitution in 1972, North Korea has amended it 10 times, with the last revision occurring in September last year. Great. Okay. Let's see. Do we have sound? Oh, great. Okay. Never mind. Let's see if we can find something about this. North Korea constitutional revisions. That's what I just read. B times. Wait a second. Oh, China and North Korea. Okay. North Korean leader oversees live fire artillery drill ahead of constitutional revision. Okay. Okay. Mathrubumi English. Sounds like a South Asian publication. Let's try this. North Korea likely to amend constitution by removing unification provisions. Let's see if there's anything stated differently in here. Let's zoom in a little bit. All right. Okay. North Korea set to convene. Removing unification. 11th session. Right. 2 hostile states. Right, but why? That's what I want to know. Is like, okay, why? Did something change? Why are they labeling them hostile? Are they hostile? Like, I don't know, but officially label invariable principal enemy. Yeah, it just seems like reprinted shit. Korea Herald. It's probably a South Korean thing. Yonhap. That's the original one. It's interesting. Like, you can't really get. Can't really get like original reporting. I know they're pretty closed off, North Korea, but like that's just interesting. Like you can't really find anything that digs in too much. Decoding North Korea's changing policies. That's from February. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not seeing, anything that's going to give us a different perspective. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Huh? Yeah, I don't know. Sorry if I'm not that fun today. I said I'm just, not feeling it. In many ways. Let's go to YouTube. Ooh, 988 subscribers. We're getting there. Nate Silver is a joke. Yeah, let's watch this.
All right, let's turn to
Nate Silver's so obnoxious, dude. Like, it's funny that he accidentally started saying some. He started saying some true things recently by accident. But yeah, let's go. Let's watch this.
All right, let's turn to your guide to pollsters because I think this is very helpful for people. You have been quick to point out this dynamic here that I'll read this part of the beginning of your piece. While past elections usually only saw 1 or 2 well-known firms with systemic Republican slants, the Biden era has seen a rise of a huge number of such pollsters who often put out just as much, if not more, data than nonpartisan firms. Can you talk about this new dynamic in polling and these Republican slanted firms kind of cropping up and being included in things like Nate Silver's average, for example?
Yeah, I think this is an instance where the kind of institutional sort of people who follow this, who have been doing this since the 2000s or even earlier than that, are not really.
This guy's a decent commentator, by the way. Edinger Mentum. I don't know what that name means, but yeah, he's pretty good. He's a little on the lib side, but he's He's fine. He's entertaining.
Kind of adjusting as much to the new reality. The presumption, like the kind of game theory sort of logic for why Nate Silver would always include everybody and everybody into his models was that like every firm has their primary incentive is to be as correct as possible so they can make more money and get more clients. So we shouldn't assume anything about their motivations other than that they want to like have the most accurate numbers possible. Like that was just like the rule that he had. Anything other than that would just be unfair discrimination. And I think like in 2012, that was probably a fair thing to say. I don't think that's what things look like now in an era of widespread election denial and extreme polarization, where like it's a lot less, there's a lot less of an incentive to like try to be the number one rated pollster in the New York Times, like polling metric rating system or whatever like they have, or like 538's rating system. That's a lot less of like, that's a lot less lucrative than to just have the best numbers for Trump as much as possible so you can be put on Fox News to talk about why Trump is winning. This was already dynamic for like years. I think like in the late 2000s during the Tea Party, they would have Scott Rasmussen who would repeatedly go on Fox to say how his polls vindicated like Republican Party talking points. And this has become a whole industry in the era of Trump where you have these entire pollsters whose whole purpose is to fashion results that show results and often like shifts that just fit entirely in line with Republican talking points. People become huge celebrities off of doing this. They like get constant like appearances on like TV and on radio off of having these results that go a certain way. So we're at a point for half of the political world, the incentive is not to have the most accurate results. It's to have the most like pro-Trump results. And in 2022, we saw this.
Yeah, I don't know the extent to which this is done, but it does like, I don't know. I'm hearing the accusation a lot. They're like, oh, this only looks at positive polls for Kamala or this one for Trump, or like, I don't know. That might be true. It might just be that like polling's just not that accurate anymore. Because that's what I've heard too. Is the way that like you know, they used to call landlines and people used to answer their phones. Like, it just doesn't happen so much anymore. Not getting a real picture of like how people feel. Oh fuck.
It's happening constantly where it wouldn't just be the very well known, the people who are well known for giving pro-Republican results, like gave very extreme numbers for them. There were like, I think Trafalgar had one race in Vermont they said was within single digits, and they were off by 30 points on that. But there were also like a lot of smaller firms that were popping up with similar numbers that were also trying to get like a lot of attention. Not only were these like professional outlets, a lot of these were just run by like there was one firm that was just run by two high school teenagers.
Can you sorry to cut you off, Josh, but like this is, you have a group in, you categorize these in your piece. Again, people should be subscribing to your Substack. This is this section called "The Firms Run by Teenagers and or Right-Wing Twitter Accounts." Talk about this new dynamic as you were about to get into, but these other right-wing pollsters that are run by literal teenagers.
Yeah, so the first one of this was like a very kind of memorable moment. If you ever follow elections on Twitter, it was the Pennsylvania race with Oz and Fetterman. And there was like Fetterman started off with these really, really big double-digit leads, and then it started kind of falling a little bit as like he wasn't able to campaign, and his polarization kind of kicked in at the end. And people like thought that his odds were plummeting, and there was always a question like, who will be the first pollster to show Dr. Oz ahead? Mm-hmm. And then like in early October, there was a pollster that showed Dr. Oz ahead. It was called Patriot Polling. It was run by two like actual teenagers in a high school, like I don't know, like a high school somewhere, and it said Dr. Oz was leading. Everybody thought this was like the biggest joke like they've ever seen. But then like the same day, Nate Silver included Patriot Polling in his model. Like this firm with no track record, run by like self-admittedly run by high schoolers. He puts their data in there like at the same like right next to like every other pollster who's like that's run by actual professionals. that's sort of an extreme example, like where it's just obviously kind of like a joke. I thought like there was no explanation for that, that he was deliberately trying to like shift the margins in favor of Republicans. But he included them. He included several firms like that are run by adults, but like are controlled by like election deniers, like that just like use their
SoCal,
polls to
Qantas News.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that you list there, right?
Yeah, those are new ones. Those are not run by they could be run by adults. They are run by they have started this year, and they are run by right-wing Twitter accounts. SoCal is actually, I thought, was a bit of like kind of a gallant to the goofuses of this sort of thing, because he does try to make himself look legitimate, even though he is like a right-wing like Twitter account guy who's like fake DMs to like in feuds with like liberal Twitter people.
Oh, hey, just remembered that you multi-stream. I don't know why I can't see your thing on the big screen. Just remember that you multi-stream. Woke CIA have Drone Pilot here. Been listening along on Twitch, but I am banned for criticism of Israel. Damn, dude. That's I would ask what you said, but I guess you can't say it. That's cool. Yeah, thanks for being here.
People but he and then Qantas he does the same thing as him. They basically just do like the cheapest possible surveys on these AI polling survey software companies, and they don't actually have much control over their own results besides weighting, which can be pretty significant. But they have been included too. SoCal polling is in the 538 average. Qantas polling is in the 538 average. Qantas polling was on Twitter literally bragged about moving an average towards Republicans once, and 538 just they sent one guy to call him. They just said, "Oh, sorry, my bad. That's not what I meant." And then they just it also got revealed that he failed to disclose funding from far right companies for his polling, far right organizations, and he also just said, "Oh, my bad," and they haven't gotten rid of him on the site. The kind of
I didn't say anything that strong. I was just quoting Nasrallah's words about living in peace with Jews and Christians in Palestine being the goal. Wow, yeah, that's terrible shit. Israeli General Yuzak Burke saying that Israel will collapse within a year. It wasn't what I said. It was the agenda. Said it on this channel called Agenda Free TV, which has a bunch of permanent Zionist trolls. Yeah, that's the thing. It's if people, sometimes it's just because someone noticed it and mass reported it, whereas it might have just gone unnoticed otherwise, or it's buzzwords, because mass reporting, because I find that if I say anything. It depends on the platform, I guess. But if I say anything about Israel or Palestine, those using those words on TikTok, especially, that shit's tanking, or just getting removed.
Kind of threshold for just keeping these people on these very big agenda setting aggregators that influence campaign decisions and drive coverage. There is basically no quality control for this. They see it as impossible to make any judgments beyond just what the numbers say, in including these people, even when they're they have no experience or no background or no professional track record on any of this, or in the case of Trafalgar or Rasmussen, they're run by people who deny elections. I think Rasmussen polling is denied the Holocaust. It is
What the fuck? Hold on. Holocaust? Was it through polling? There's poll Nazis? Column. This GOP-leaning political polling firm has turned into a purveyor of anti-vaccine propaganda. Oh, okay. They do tend to go together. Let me see if Holocaust is in here. Rasmussen has doubled down on its findings in a series of tweets on June 9. It declared first, if the numbers implied by our COVID polling are correct, the vaccines killed more people worldwide than Jews killed in the Holocaust. That's psychotic. But what else did they say about it? Not that its invocation of the Holocaust is defensible under these circumstances. What the fuck? Holocaust denial. Pew Research. I'm going to take polling out of it. Rasmussen, Holocaust denial. Yeah, I know. Holocaust deniers. Evidence and documentation. Explaining Holocaust denial. Where the fuck? I love the way fucking search works now. This is Bing. It's not even Google, but they're both fucked. Rasmussen okay, I don't know. I can't find it, but maybe they put something in the description. Nope, never mind. Okay, let's just watch.
There is no floodgates for this sort of stuff, and this should not be a difficult issue to deal with. But like, if you're just a layperson following this, like you have no idea what the backgrounds for any of these things are.
Right. How are you supposed to know? Like for a long time, people have just expected, like, well, the information I'm getting from the news or whatever is supposed to be true. They're the ones who are, it was their job to be accurate. And it's like, well, things have changed a little bit, but also it's never really been that. But it's hard to, really educate people on that. Yeah.
Mentioned
I
Rasmussen.
think it's a terrible mistake.
Yeah, those are the junk, teenager run ridiculous ones, SoCal, Qantas, and then notoriously Patriot Polling. Those are newer, and that speaks to this dynamic of these right-wing groups seemingly funding these, in some instances, these right-wing leaning pollsters that are getting aggregated and into models like the one that Nate Silver is a part of. We should say that he's now a part of Polymarket, which I guess is a crypto Peter Thiel backed.
That sounds like a poly dating app
thing.
I will say that hasn't changed any of his decision making. He is still making all of the same, editorial decisions he's always made for his model. I don't agree with them, but he hasn't shifted his philosophy in favor of them or anything. And his model actually shows better numbers for Kamala now than it ever has before. I think she's up to 58% on there.
Yeah,
but,
it's just something to note.
I would not be involved in a political betting market. I think that
as a pollster aggregator. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't bet on politics, and I'm just a guy who writes about them. But I don't want to give off the impression that I'm trying to make money off of what I write. I would never do that. I don't get why people are so lax about that.
Because you could be writing, but Josh, you could be writing things to move the market in another direction, so you could get better odds on betting on the outcome that you actually think is going to happen. That's how this works.
Yeah, I mean that's obvious to me. It's not obvious to other people. But I will say I do not bet on politics, so I never will. I think that's a very basic thing for me to sacrifice in order to do what I do.
Same here, and I enjoy gambling on sports, but I've never bet on politics.
Yeah, I've thought about doing it. I don't know if I'm good enough at predicting election turnouts and stuff, or outcomes. Yeah, it'd be great. I mean, goddamn, can you imagine being someone who saw the Trump win coming in 2016 and just being like, all on red.
So Rasmussen, you mentioned, they've been along for a while. You write here, it's denied everything from the 2020 election to vaccine safety to the Holocaust, but they have some respectability and is often cited by Trump. The others that you should look out for
all the time
are the Trafalgar Group, McLaughlin and Associates, Harvard Harris, no association to Kamala Harris. They're the ones that are run by Is that
Mark Penn.
That's the Zionist one, right?
Yeah, it is a Zionist one that has like the really like the push pull stuff that AIPAC cites. Mark Penn is the former Clinton advisor who was a consultant for Trump during his presidency.
By the way, some Clinton to Trump pipeline, if you want to include Alan Dershowitz in there.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
That's a whole nother bag. Insider Advantage is the other one that leans right. If you could just tell people a little bit more about that one.
That's an interesting name. Insider Advantage.
Yeah, Insider Advantage. I know them very well because they're another, like Trafalgar is also based in Atlanta. Insider Trading, or as I like to call them, is based in Atlanta. Insider Disadvantage is run by a former Republican member of the Georgia State House of Representatives. He's very close friends with Robert Kahale, who is the guy who runs Trafalgar, who is like basically like there's a good article about this from 2 years ago, but like basically the guy kind of just chooses the results of his polls ahead of time. He takes his own samples for each poll, and like basically just his results aren't even really results; they're just kind of guesswork. Basically, like it's like really like they're the ultimate disregard. But Towery is like really close with Kahale. They run a podcast together, which is kind of cute. I do like that. I'm happy for them. And he goes on Fox News a lot. He's one of these, like I call them Fox News merchants, because they're always on like Ingram or whatever to like talk about how their polling numbers are good for Trump. And he also does deny the 2020 election results and says Democrats are doing fraud. So like you can kind of see where his kind of preferences are dialed towards.
It's weird how everyone screaming fraud is actually doing fraud. Like what? It's like fucking Israel. Everything's Israel now. Like everybody's Israeling. Just like you're committing genocide. Like you literally killed like hundreds of thousands of people. What are you talking about? Like, nah, you did it.
It's like kind of like propping up that narrative as opposed to getting the most accurate results to what the certified results are.
And I'll let you go in a second, Josh, but you know, there are polls that have more succinct and transparent methodologies that are Democratic leaning, like Morning Consult leans a little bit Democrat in their results. But what should people
they're not like run by Democratic
right, but right, exactly.
Like,
yeah. Go on.
They just have certain methodologies that have been decent for Democrats. I will say about Morning Consult, they gave Biden consistently pretty bad numbers when he was in the race. They just happen to be pretty good for Kamala now. I wouldn't really disregard them, although they aren't.
Yeah, I don't know, like if this is the problem, but it's like there's just so many factors when you're polling about, presidential candidate preference. Like I don't know, it's so. Yeah, it's part of the problem is like, well, you're not always giving them all the options, right? It's like, okay, there's a lot of shenanigans keeping like third parties off of ballots, keeping their vote suppressed. But one of those ways could be just not telling people those are the options, you know? And then knowing that, like, well, some polls do include them. So how do you like reconcile that with the polls that don't? And what who like did anyone say Trump or Kamala in the only Trump or Kamala poll? Who then would say Jill Stein or Claudia De La Cruz in the one that includes all the candidates? I don't know. That alone, but there's just so many factors. It just seems crazy. I don't know how we can expect to get like really accurate polling. I wish we just had a fucking workers' party. It'd be great if we just fucking did away with the fucking bourgeois capitalist parties.
Really the kind of A standard stuff. They are a tracker poll, and tracker polls like really is good for the precise numbers.
And so, who are the polls that you say people should trust the most?
I also should say, I don't know anything about polling. I don't know anything. I'm not a math person. I'm not a science person. Just getting that out there. I'm just kind of speculating. This is one of the guys to probably actually listen to, and don't take it all from him either.
Most to look out for and not get. I mean, you can look at the ratings, but for you in this election cycle, which are the pollsters that have been the most accurate and transparent?
Yeah, well, I was really impressed by Marist in 2022. They put out results like right before the Senate races that year that were very accurate. They got the Pennsylvania race very closely, the Georgia race very closely, and the Arizona race very closely that year. They had a set of surveys that had very close tied races, basically in the Sun Belt and Kamala leads in the Midwest, which fit very closely with my priors. So I think that they are once again correct. But the New York Times has been a bit weird this year. They've had some like more pro-Trump numbers consistently than other firms. I think even to the point where the guy who runs Rasmussen was like, "Oh yeah, these guys are oversampling Trump supporters," which I thought was like funny because I've never seen anybody in that world say that before. But they were very like accurate in 2022, so accurate they doubted their own results. But like, I mean, I'm not so certain about them. I think the results are a little bit hard to square with the other stuff we've seen this year, but they're pretty good. Let me think what else. The state level, like native state pollsters. I know there's a guy, Joshua Smithy in Pennsylvania, and he always like says to keep track of state level pollsters in that state. I mean, I can't think of much else on the top of my head, but
Sure.
like the A+ pollsters on the sites are usually pretty reliable.
Washington Post Ipsos, ABC Ipsos, that kind of deal. Yeah, they've been pretty consistently good. All right, well, I think that gives people a good guide. There's a lot of like...
like the NBC, ABC, Washington Post, like big name firms are usually pretty good. If Reuters, Ipsos does shit for everybody, they can be kind of weird sometimes, but like they're not like objectively terrible or anything.
It's just good for people to have this information because the poll denialism is something that, I mean, you and I have talked about this, is frustrating, but it's aided and abetted by these Republican junk polls.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. Like, like he's been pointing out, there's a lot of these like outright biased right-wing polling outfits now. Like Republicans always do, straight up, suppression and lies and fake fraud, whatever. Whereas the Democrats just kind of sowing doubt, right? It's really funny. Just watching them turn into, it's hack at this point, but blue MAGA, right? They're blue MAGA. It's insane. Yeah, I'm not going to talk too much about like family, on this stuff, but like, somewhat, I'll just say a relative said to me, I don't buy the Trump shooting, the first one. They're like, nah. No, it's fake. It's fake because look at the picture that he took and the fist in the air and the fight. It's like, okay. I mean, it could be a real bullet, and Trump can be like, supremely content brained, to do that shit. Like, I don't know. Like that's just there's no. No way. It's so insane. It's like it has to be staged. Why? Like, it's just so silly.
That are shifting the averages.
The institutional aggregators who refuse to provide context.
And that's just not, there's no equivalent on the left or on the Democratic side. There really isn't.
There should. If somebody wants to make a lot of money, they probably could do this. Like, people always say, "Oh, why don't Democrats do this? Why don't they have their fake pollsters?" This shows a lack of confidence. That it only shows people who are not on the ball in terms of like being able to make a lot of money. If you like created a polling firm called like Lepanto Strategies or like Blue Wave Polling or whatever, and you put out shit showing Kamala up in Florida, you would be on MSNBC News within a week. Like, you would like get so much attention.
You would, but I mean, I like Democrats taking it to the Republicans on that front, but I don't even know what the value is. It just feels like Republican pollsters are doing this
for those people to get money. No, the
for them to. I don't care about them getting money, Josh.
People. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just everything's a scam now. Like, this economy is just built on scams.
Yeah, well, it doesn't provide value to like the world. Okay. But like, this is just my advice to somebody who wants to grift.
Yes, thank you for that. I really appreciate that advice. Thanks so much.
Subscribe to Edingermentum for a kickback.
Yeah, exactly. Edingermentum.news. You are one of my favorite writers, particularly on electoral politics. So appreciate all of that, and support Ettingermentum over at his Substack. Thanks for calling in, and hope you're safe down in Georgia.
Well, all right, yeah, a little commentary, a little socialism on a Sunday. I gotta go. I'm I wanted to stick it out for today, so I'm glad I did. But like I was saying early on, just having a rough time of it lately. And I gotta do, go have some fun and, just even like, I'm going to edit my videos and shit. And I enjoy doing that. So I'm going to bury myself in some of that shit for a while, and hopefully come back a little refreshed next week. Dylan CIA Burns, thank you for joining us on your alter ego account. We appreciate you. Thanks to anyone else who stopped in today.